it on my computer. All right, here we go. Welcome, everybody. This is Phyllis Pieri with the Best in Franchising with the Franchise Lady, and that's what people call me these days. I'm living in Mission Viejo, California, and I'm really excited to have my guest today because Rob Young not only is a client of mine, but he also is a friend of mine. We used to go to the same church together, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about Rob's background. He has a very impressive background. So Rob graduated from the University of Illinois with a bachelor's in engineering. He got his MBA at Washington University in St. Louis. And then at University of Washington Foster School of Business, he got his advanced program in leadership. So you can see that he has amazing skill sets. He is the past president and current board member of the Financial Executive International. He is a laity leader, church council chair, liturgist, finance, nominations, and Sunday school teacher at Faith Church. I mean, Rob, you need to learn to keep your hand down. Only kidding. And he's also a board member at Kairos, which is a Christian organization in Washington that really helps people connect and talk about Christianity in the business place. He was an executive management, retired at Boeing. He was a CEO at Ellis, LI, and McKintrey, and principal at Planetary Advisors. And today, Rob is the owner of an Oasis Senior Advisor. So Rob, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. You have a great background. And tell us a little bit about you and the journey that you've been on.
Well, thanks for that kind introduction. It was all those things you said was something that my father would have been proud of and my mother would have believed. So the journey I was on, I had left the legal field, kind of really feeling that that wasn't my calling. And I was looking for the right thing to do. I was looking at re-entering the corporate world. And as I was looking at, for my skill set, what the typical longevity is, how long people stay in it, and then typically how often they are between jobs, I just like to be busy. And I didn't want to be back on that, I don't really know the right word for it, but
roller coaster?
Roller coaster is one, but the spinning wheel that the mouse is on, right? And I didn't really want to enter that. Now, I happened to know Phyllis as the franchise lady. And so I started talking with Phyllis about what could we do in franchising, because I didn't want to spend a lot of time just figuring out business models and starting from nothing. I really wanted to start with something that had already been thought through. And I didn't really know exactly what, though. So I started working with Phyllis. She did structured interviews. She did personality assessments, ran that through, and really found kind of some areas that looked like it was good for me. She went through literally hundreds of brands that she works with and came up with just a handful for me to consider. And within a very short period of time, I really discerned a calling that this is what I was supposed to be doing, and Oasis is who I was supposed to be doing it with. And as I went down this journey and was doing discovery on the franchise opportunities, I also found out that I had gone with Phyllis because she was a friend, but she's also one of the best in the country at what she does. She has a sterling reputation that I was unaware. I knew she had that with me, but I didn't know that she had that sterling reputation in the franchise community.
Yeah.
And you build that reputation, Phyllis, by finding very good fit. So when you have when you bring a franchisee to a franchisor, they already know that the person's a good fit. They have the resources to do that particular franchise. They have the heart for it. They're already aligned with the mission of that organization.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the things that's so powerful about what I get to do, because it's really about understanding exactly who you are as a person, but also understanding what the franchisor is really looking for. And when it came to you, Rob, I knew you had a wonderful heart, and you had a heart for people and a heart for giving. And I was so thrilled that you chose Oasis, because I really felt that it fit you in such a way that you will be able to be giving back, which is kind of your DNA. It's kind of what you do anyway. And so now you're really doing it to help people in a very special way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
And I've just brought on a new team member in the last couple of weeks. And so with working through the Oasis system is allowing her also, she's missionally aligned. It's allowing her to contribute to helping people in what Oasis does.
Mm-hmm. And have you found, Rob, that this was something that you kind of put off, and you're glad that you've added somebody to your team now? I know it's really hard in the very beginning. We want to do everything. And I know myself that I have a tendency to be a little detail oriented in some areas. And so I can spend more time probably doing that than I should. And don't you also think that it's important to make sure what your strengths are, and so you really focus on those, and then fill in with, if you find that there's things that you thought you could do, but yeah, it's not really the thing you love to do. And I really want you. We talked about this a lot, right? I wanted you to be doing the things you love.
Right. Yeah, I wish I had brought people on sooner. And
Mm-hmm.
I think part of it is striving for perfection. I wanted to get
Mm-hmm.
things perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted to set the standard in all that we do, and
Mm-hmm.
then bring people in at that standard. And as I reflect back on it, I agree. I waited way too long, and would have done much better to have brought someone on sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some things that I was delegating out, outsourcing some functions, back office support functions.
Mm-hmm.
But this was in a client-facing role, and I really wish I had brought someone on earlier in client-facing.
Well, you know what? But I will tell you that all of the hard work you've done is really paid off, because, like, I know my brands really well. You know your inventory really well. And you've spent hours going out and talking to owners and visiting all the group homes. I remember one day we were having coffee and you were talking about, oh my God, there are so many group homes out there. How do you possibly, go out and see them all? Which literally it's impossible. However, you did such a great job in doing that. And as it turned out, who would have known, but I would be calling you because I needed your services. I
Mhm.
mean, and right when the pandemic hit, I mean, talk about a tough time. And I was so grateful you were in this business.
Well, thank you. Yeah, just in the greater Seattle area, there are almost 2,000 residential care homes licensed by the
Mm,
state. And I mean, just that number alone is
daunting.
overwhelming
Yeah.
to and trying to assess quality and availability. Most of these places don't have a sign out in front. They don't have a website. They're just in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And they blend in. So yeah, in your particular case, it was compounded by having the COVID crisis that was just starting to
Mm-hmm.
unfold. And at that point in time, people in your situation needing to find a place for a loved one weren't even able to tour before making a
Mm-hmm.
decision. Since then, we've learned a lot more about the disease, and we've figured out how we can safely do tours.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, that wasn't the case, and you had
No.
a need that was urgent,
Mm-hmm.
needed to be addressed right now.
Yeah.
And so it was because we had already been in every home that we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
you had the confidence that
Yes.
my eyes were acting as your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it was also ironic. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think I would need to use your services. But yet, when it happened, I was so happy because I knew that I could trust you and that you had a service that would serve my friend well. And as it turned out, she's very happy. She loves it. she's kind of let go of everything, and the people there are her new family. And I think one of the things that I've learned over this experience that people may not think about is when you have somebody who is single, doesn't have any family, and doesn't have any children, there's loneliness that happens with them, even if they're active in their church, that people don't notice. You know, we all are on the spinning wheel, working really hard and going 25 directions, and we don't think about those people that are home alone. And so, as it's been a terrible experience for her, moving to this home has really been a gift, because she's gone from being lonely to being with people and feeling safe and knowing that her time is ending. However, she's in a very safe place and she's okay with that.
Yeah.
I think having a big God helped her too.
Right.
You know?
Well, a lot of people don't really appreciate what social isolation does. It's not just an emotional or cognitive function, but social isolation has the physical impact. You know, we are social beings. We were created to be social. And when we're socially isolated, it is like smoking 13 cigarettes a day, every day.
Wow.
That's what the toll it takes on you physically. And and you can talk about all the other emotional factors too, but that's something that's measurable in terms of, you can actually measure morbidity. That is the equivalence. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I so appreciate you. And I would be curious to see if you, are there any things that that I could do differently on this journey that I helped you with? Or were there certain areas, like how did it go with the financing, for instance? Because, you know, that's always a big hurdle that people have to go over, and they have to kind of look at their assets maybe in a different way. So when you had that experience, and I did refer you to one of my franchise finance partners, how did you and your wife kind of look at that experience, and how did you make that decision?
Well, we looked at it as kind of an asset allocation problem. You know, as an engineer, I think in terms of problem solving, right? So it was an asset allocation problem. And we had assets sitting in IRA accounts. My financial advisor told me for what our goals were, we should stop putting money into retirement accounts. We did not need more there. But even if we did, that money was sitting there and not generating income for us. And what we looked at was, how can we redeploy that asset into income producing? So thankfully, you sent me to the best expert in this particular kind of financing in the country, and it's called Rollover Business Startup, ROBS, and it allows you to take IRA money or 401k money and redeploy it so that you can pay your franchise fees, you can invest in marketing, you can invest in equipment and employees. Now, you can't pay yourself with that, because that would be taking IRA money and converting the money directly into income. If you can invest that IRA money in the business, and then as the business generates revenue, then you can pay yourself. Very straightforward. The rules are easy to, there are a lot of rules, but they're easy to stay on the right side of. And thanks to your referral to the best expert in the country, it was very easy for me to do that.
Great.
And I have a lot of confidence that I'm doing it in a compliant way that won't jeopardize the favorable tax treatment that we got.
Of course, absolutely. All right. Anyway, Rob, thank you so much. I really appreciate you letting me interview you. I'm so glad you're enjoying your business. I'm glad you've hired somebody, and I expect to you be able to make a lot of people very happy and feel safe with their loved ones. So if you know somebody who's in the Puget Sound area and would be interested in having Rob help your loved ones, I will be leaving information about how to reach Rob in the notes with this video. And Rob, again, thank you very much. Oasis Senior Advisors is a great company. They are out of Florida, and the CEO of the company, Tim Ivankovich, this is kind of interesting. The night that you signed your agreement, Tim called me at home and said, "Hey, Phyllis, if Rob lived close to me, we'd be best friends," because they were both Methodists. It was really funny. So small world, right? Anyway, so Tim Bavankovich is a very successful franchise owner. He developed the cleaning authority, sold that, and felt he wanted to go down the senior path, which is a huge industry. So I think he's developing a great company. Rob, you're a great owner, and I'm proud to call you my friend. And I am really happy that you decided to join me today. Thanks so much. So this
Thanks,
is
Phil.
Phyllis Pieri, the franchise lady. Happy that you joined me today, and I look forward to another episode of The Best in Franchising with the Franchise Lady. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye now.